What is up, Road to Redemption podcast listeners? We are back. I'm, as always, your host, Cam Williamson. It's fantastic to be with you guys. You're actually here in my living room with me. That's where we're doing the podcast at for right now. Chilling. What's up? Thought I would sit down. Haven't just done a sat down podcast where I just kind of caught up with everybody and said, hey, how's it going? I know the coronavirus is almost over for pretty much everyone, especially if you live in Texas. Texas went through a lot here recently. Texas was going through the coldest winter that they've had in like 150 years or something. They got snow. People's pipes were bursting like crazy. People literally got like frozen into their homes. It was really bad. My wife is from South Texas. She has family there, and they dealt with multiple days of power outages, and my mother-in-law literally had to like just bundle up in her room and try to stay as warm as she could for a couple days till they got power. Stuff's scary. During that time, we got snowed in the sense of like my kid couldn't go to daycare and stuff like that. I wasn't able to get my oldest daughter the weekend before this past one because of all the snow, so I got her this last weekend. That was awesome, but being snowed in, my wife, my youngest, Olivia, and myself, we were locked up here in the house for about 6 days. It's pretty crazy, man. I completely understand why during this quarantine and stuff, mental health and substance abuse cases are on the rise, because it's tough. You know, I haven't really gone through a real quarantine. My wife has been working the whole time. I don't go out to a place of business to do my job. I do it right here. And like, I've been skateboarding. That's outside by myself. So I don't really have to follow these guidelines of the quarantine because I don't do anything that violates them, right? So the snow day was the first day that my family actually was like locked in together 6 whole days. And after day 3 or 4, you're kind of like, okay, we've done everything we can do. We've been as engaged as possible with each other. We've played all the games we have. We can't go anywhere to get new ones. And, now we're just watching the same crap on TV and having conversations, which is great. But, okay, day 6, now mental health is starting to become an issue because I need to get out. I need to be creative. I need to see other things. I need to be stimulated in other ways. And it gets really scary sometimes because if you already know that you struggle with certain things, like for me, being confined in one space is something I've always had a very difficult time with. I remember feeling in high school, like sitting in a classroom and I would be thinking of all the things I'd rather be doing, and it would get I would get physically ill thinking like, oh my God, I have to sit here for another 4 hours, and it's like my skateboard's right here, or this movie that I love, and I could go and dream about being a stand-up comedian instead of sitting here in this freaking whatever, this classroom listening to this person give me a slideshow that even they don't care about. Due to being locked in the house, I think a lot of people are going back to nostalgia type things like me with skateboarding. You're seeing the 90s are making a big resurgence, but can we stop acting like we're unique for this? Guys, millennials, we're almost 30. I just turned 29 on the 15th of February, so I'm almost 30. Guess what? We're bringing 90s kid shit back because we're 90s kids that grew up. Our parents did the same fucking thing. When our parents grew up, what did they have? Metallica. And then we thought it was cool to wear Metallica shit. So now that we're getting older, our kids think it's cool to like wear SpongeBob and Rugrats and stuff they have no idea about because it's retro to them. But to us, we're like, hey, that's dope. Our kids like what we like. And then we get mad because we're like, y'all don't know shit about that. You know about the new version of it. You don't know about the true essence. And then, you force people like me to pick up a skateboard and have to show you how it's done. I'm just kidding. I have been skateboarding a lot recently. I got hurt on Thursday. I jumped a 3-stair and landed it first try, which was dope. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, do that at Cam Williamson Official. You'll see that. You'll see the little clip. And I just got all into myself, and I was like, sure, there's a huge Euro gap over there. And for those of you that don't know what a Euro gap is, it's a gap that goes like, it's a big ramp that goes up like that on one side. There's a big long space, and then it's equally as slanted on the other side. So it's way above my skill level. You have to be able to control the board under you going at a very fast speed, because you need all that speed to be able to launch off the one ramp, clear the distance of the gap, and come down the other side. So I was all feeling myself, thought I had good speed, as being getting my feet back under me on the board. I am feeling like I'm going fast because I have it in my head like what I used to feel like when I went fast and was able to do shit like that. I'm like, yes, this is enough speed. I start to go up this way, forgetting how physics work and what happens when you have speed and start to go uphill. You're going to lose some speed. So I started to go up, and I'm still thinking, got enough speed, not thinking physics has now slowed me down. I pop the board, but I pop with a whole, like, this much more ramp left to go, but in real time. So I pop, and my board doesn't even leave this side of the ramp, let alone clear any part of the gap. So my body is now flying through the air, flying towards this gap, and I'm going like this with my legs spread, about to, and I'm midair trying to figure out, how do I want to land? I'm either going to rack my nuts like that on the other side of this ramp, so I'm going to hit like that. That's not an option. I don't know really how to gauge this because I'm 6 foot tall, but I don't know if I land on my foot here, am I still going to crunch? Well, that's what I ended up having to do. So I landed heavy on this foot, and I just tried to bend this knee, and I went bang, and I just crunched that knee. I thought I shattered my kneecap, man. I was bummed. So I did that on Thursday. I really couldn't skate after that. Drove home. I was hobbling around the house pretty good on Thursday night. Friday, could hardly move at all. My amazing wife took care of me, elevated the knee, iced it for like 3 days. Spent a good amount of my weekend in the car, going to get my oldest daughter and coming back, and here we are. Hung out with them, took them to the park, man. It was cool. This morning I went out and skated a little bit, so it's been fun. My knee still hurts. I definitely overcompensated this whole weekend, and I can tell because when I just went to push on my skateboard, it really hurt. It sent like a lot of pain up through my hamstring, and I got really nervous. I was like, oh shit, maybe I tore something, or I strained a muscle or a tendon or something. But I went out back. I just came home. I forgot to loosen my trucks. You guys will see in a video later. I swapped out my wheels and bearings on a complete that I bought, and I made a whole vlog out of that, which will be fun. But I went to the skate park trying to get warmed up, and it was like one bad thing after another. I was having a bad phone call. Like, it just wasn't going well. It wasn't allowing me to be in a mind state to warm up. I strained my hamstring, and then there was a kid running around all over the place that was just making it really tough for me to warm up. So kind of gave up, came back home, and realized that when I was swapping out my wheels for the complete, I didn't tighten down my trucks. So the whole time I was at the park practicing with all that other stuff happening, my trucks are super loose. So I really had no control over the board at all. Came home, tightened them down after searching for my skate tool forever, for way too long, because I'm a goob and I always put shit where I'm not going to be able to find it. And yeah, tightened them down, went outside, practiced for about an hour, and dedicated to come in here, recording a podcast. We did put out a whole new line of merch, as you guys can maybe see. Boom, Shattered Life, and then it says, success is the most hated and most sought after attribute in the world. That was a quote I said, I believe, on the podcast a long time ago. Maybe could have even been the Ride and Vibe podcast. Said that a long time ago, and just, thank God, had the goal to put it on a shirt because people love it. Yeah, go grab those. It's over at the roadtoredemptionpodcast.com, where we had all the Shattered Life Journal Challenge stuff. We got a bunch of new designs. Brought back, this is an old design too, the Motivate and Inspire. That's a favorite. That's actually my favorite hoodie that I have right now. put those out. Been loving it. So if you guys want to rep the Shatter It movement, and, if you guys are kind of jumping in, maybe you found me because of skateboarding, maybe you found me because of a cooking video I did, whatever, and you're just checking this podcast out. I'm Cam Williamson. I am the founder of the Shatter It movement, #Shatter It. And it's shattering labels and stigmas around mental health and, mental health illness. I put the quotes because after some books I've been reading, I'm looking at it more as like brain health, but it's mental health. It's taking care of your mind and your brain so it operates at its optimum capacity. Sometimes throughout life, whether it's, I'm finding a lot right now, the head trauma you take as a child that you just kind of brush off and you're like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, guys, I grew up with people like Jim Carrey and Bam Margera being my heroes. Slamming your head into shit was something we did all the time because it was funny, and the people around were like, oh my God, you're crazy. Because we would throw like a laundry basket over our head and just run head first into the wall trying to make people laugh. And like, that's real shit that I did all the time. And we actually used to film it and make little videos like that. But that has consequences when you get older. Like, being that way, and we're just learning this now. We're learning it with football. We're learning it with MMA. But we're also just learning it about bad little kids that like to run around and climb trees and they fall off and they hurt themselves and shit. And kids just being goofy and taking slams on the corner of tables. Like, I'm a freak about that with my kids. I'm a freak about it because everything they do, I'm like, where is your head? Which way are you moving? And what is it closest in proximity to hitting? If it's anywhere close, stop. Don't do that. I'm like a freak about it because I listen to a lot of books now about mind and brain health and the foods you need to eat to take care of your brain. I've been really loving these Mindright bars. Rob Dyrdek makes them through his, I think it's called like Dyrdek machine, like his brain pile of companies he has. I haven't tried a bunch of his other ones, but I did try this because it has like ashwagandha in it to help with your just daily general good mood and memory focus stuff. It's like a superfood for your brain and for your body, and I've noticed massive differences in just my general mood. I got a little overwhelmed this morning, and I was almost wondering, like, I ran out of my Mindright bars a couple days ago. I wonder if I had been eating them regularly, would I handle these situations better? Because, like I said, I was just having a really negative phone call this morning that brought me back to my childhood, and it was like, I just remembered why I feel so self-insecure, and I have no self-confidence a lot of the times, and it's not the fault of the people that I grew up around, but it's just the mindset that I grew up around, right? Taking complete fault away from everybody. You have to look at the mindset that you grew up in. What did your parents say about life? Not even to you. They might have said all the great things to you. What did they say around you about life? Life isn't fair. Regular people don't do this. You can't do this because of these reasons. Like, you're too far behind to get started now. You're too old to do something like that. Like, that type of thinking is the only purpose it serves is holding people back. You're not helping anyone with statements like that. And especially, I was having a conversation with somebody that I love and value very much while I was trying to get ready to skate. And it was kind of giving me all this negative energy, trying to learn new tricks on a new board, on a new setup. And it was just kind of shit, man. It was honestly shit. So it brought me back to a time when I was a kid where I just remember having my skateboard and catching shit for it and being like, well, it's a waste of time. Why are you doing that? You need to focus on this. You need to focus on that. And it's like, man, what the fuck? Whatever happened? Like, has this coronavirus and all this stuff going on not taught anybody anything? This life is so short. And I have all these fears inside of me at all times that my life is so fragile that I think that's why I'm constantly putting myself in situations like MMA and skateboarding and guns and the military where I'm testing the fragility of life to show myself that I'm not fragile and that I can endure these things. And I look back at my life and I'm like, I'm in the 1% of life in a lot of areas. Like, I'm in the military, 1% of the population does that. I took a fight inside of the octagon and did it, given it was an amateur one, but not many people even do that. You know, skateboarding, that's not something that a lot of people are able to do and advance through the levels of. I'm trying very hard to do that. Start a social media, channel and brand it and make it my career. I'm trying to do that. Now, I'm not in the 1% of that category yet, but I'm trying. I'm in that group of people, that 1% who's willing to give it all and try. So I try to focus on those things now. Like, yeah, I've done a lot of shit that most people can't do. Okay, that's who I am. Those are the goals I undertake. Those are the challenges that for whatever reason, I'm not being my best self if I'm not chasing something like that. It's got to be really hard. And for whatever reason, it seems to have some aspect of danger to it, because that's what motivate and inspire is. That's what a shattered life is. It's taking that life, that mindset that you grew up around, and shattering it to create your real life, your shattered life that is now made whole by the pieces of all the bullshit that you came up with. You got to glue them back together in a healthy way and go, here's what I used to think. And here's what I've learned through my life and through life experiences, through trial and error, a lot of failure. That's what a lot of people don't want to show these days. And my father and I were talking about that earlier, is that it was like people just want to flex. And he was so thrown off by the idea that, like, on social media, people rent cars and post in front of them. I was like, Dad, that's been going on for 10 years. He was like, no, you don't understand. People, like, buy houses together and they, like, film this fake life that's not even real, and they buy all these followers. I'm like, yeah, no, Dad, I know. Like I've been doing this for a long time. I've been telling you this is what people do, and I'm the opposite of that. I've just tried to be consistent as I can through every single bit of the struggle and not ever fake like I'm something that I'm not, because it's all going to come out to be a wash in the end, right? Whether you put yourself in $100,000 worth of debt to flex like you're somebody on Instagram just to finally get there and then, I guess, pay all that off, if that's what works for you, man, do your thing. But I can tell you, as someone who's tried to build a genuine audience over 4 years, unless you're willing to literally just be a cookie cutter thing, which is exactly what you kind of had to be in Hollywood, when we were coming up, you had to be the part. You had to look the part and be the thing that they wanted at the certain time. And the second you couldn't do that anymore, you were gone, and they would just jump on to the next thing. That's social media. Hollywood is just now social media. And instead of having to go to California, you just have to use the right hashtags and be able to do the right things at the right time during the right trends to go viral, right? I've always said, and you can go back for as long as this show has gone on, my concern with that has always been, and with myself included, I used to post the bodybuilding stuff and the shirtless pics, and those always by far got the most likes. But then as soon as I would speak, people would stop talking and they would stop listening and they would stop engaging and the likes would go down. You're like, oh, you don't give a shit about me as a person. You want to see somebody's physique that you're not supposed to look at online, that for whatever reason you're looking at it. That's why you're here. So trying to build something of substance that is genuine and is full of like mistakes and fuck ups and bad episodes and stuff like that, yeah, man, that's a part of the journey. But I think as we roll through 2021, I mean, we're already 3 months in. That's crazy to me. As we roll through 2021, I think even now more than ever, people are searching for genuine, authentic shit, no matter what realm it is. This whole thing that people used to buy into even 3 years ago when I was starting, 4.5 now, on Instagram, it was like, you got to have a niche. Stay in one market, stay in one niche, stay there. And now that's like, oh, that's so taboo. Oh, you can only do one thing. If you only do one thing, then you better buy followers because people are going to get bored and they're going to tune out. The next thing will come too fast. So you have to have multiple interests, and especially if you're trying to inspire people. How long do people want to see you count your calories, get your body right, and figure out that that doesn't work for them? So now they realize they're just watching you for entertainment. They got the knowledge from you. They like your personality, but you're just, I'm in shape. Look at how in shape I am. Look at how much money I have, and look at all my cars, but don't forget how in shape I am. Okay, we get it. We get it. There's phases and maybe even times in the day for that. But if that's all you can provide, your service is going to be limited. And I feel like I, over the years, have tried to build up a repertoire of knowledge through all different industries. Whether it be, you guys can go back and watch my vlogs where I do talk about counting calories and shit like that. But then you move through and see me as a parent. And then you move through and see me as trying to find my way through life and taking corporate jobs and losing them and starting my channel. And really, if you guys think about it, I've really only been going at this as my career since the beginning of the pandemic, which is around April of last year. So April of 2020, I'm almost 1 full year into trying legit into making this my career. And I'm very happy with where we're at with it. Having a lot of fun skating. I hope that my body can hold up and that we'll get back to being healthy, and just keeping myself in an honest place even with that. Remembering, live to skate another day, because trying to get back on the big boy side of things too quick can shut you down. And this, I hope, was just a little warning sign to me to go, hey man, be cool. Don't, there's levels to this shit. Don't try to fly before you've even really ran again yet. And just work slow. Everything is happening in the time it's supposed to. Try to enjoy this thing that we call life. And I hope I can help you guys in any way possible. Hey, it's 11:11. Love that. I'm going to check. I posted up some Q&A stuff. We'll see. It's a little early in the day, so I doubt anybody had sent anything in yet. I'll check it out for the vlog, which I still have to finish. But yeah, cool little episode coming back. Hope you guys are staying well during the quarantines, and as you go back to work. I know that can kind of be a whole new level of stress in and of itself. While you're sitting in the house, you think, oh my god, I can't wait to get out of here. Then when you're about to go back to work, you're like, oh shit, I haven't done this in a minute. I forgot what it feels like to go and be judged by people and stuff like that. Just remember, you are that same person as you were in your house. You're the best version of yourself. You just got to find that balance. That's what we're all really trying to do. Right? Guys, go grab some merch. If you want to support me, support the show, support the Shatter It movement over at Road, the number 2, redemptionpodcast.com. We are everywhere. YouTube, everywhere. We're everywhere you can find podcasts. Check us out. We love you very much. Don't forget to like this video if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button anywhere you're watching or listening, and we'll check in with you next week for the next week. We'll do this thing now weekly. We'll get back to, even if all I have is just check in with you guys. I love this time. I love to be able to just hop on, say what's up, get anything from you guys, leave them in the comments. Anything you guys want to bounce around, talk about, I love to engage with you in the comments. And wahala at you. Love you.